Hello, everybody in Facebook Live Land. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you live like every Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. We are joined today by a movie legend, an actor, a director, a producer of major comedies out on TV, theater. You have done it all, my friend. The wonderful Billy Van Zandt. Thank you very much for coming on our show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm exhausted from that introduction. I know, Billy, you looked kind of bored during the introduction. You're like, yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
It's like,
mention more things. You only mentioned like 5,000 things.
I didn't even get into like Lucille Ball, as far as I Love Lucy, the Hugleys, the Wayans brothers, Martin. You've done some voiceover work, you've done theater, and there's nothing that you have not touched yet.
I get around. It's true. It's true.
I've heard that about Kevin, too.
Yeah, that happens. You can't prove it.
I cannot prove it.
I think they call that, you're trying to Weinstein me here, aren't you?
I was trying. It didn't work. I am Tony Kaz, followed by...
Kevin Neary here.
And of course, my other lovely Picasso in front of his pop figures. Sparky. All right. Oh man, I have a crazy list of questions, Bill.
Go, let's jump in. Let's do it.
Of course, as I said before, I love the trophies right behind your left shoulder, and maybe you could talk a little about them. Yeah, they got some meaning right there.
Let me see if I can see these. That one is People's Choice Award for Martin. That one is... I gotta turn around. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a Multicultural Prism Award for the Hugleys.
Okay.
And, I don't know, there's other things back there.
There's more stuff. There's just stuff.
Emmy nomination up there, and those are NAACP Image Awards for Martin.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Of course, you were a writer for the Martin series, right?
Yeah, we did the first season of Martin. We helped develop the show. Jane, my writing partner Jane Milmore, and I created the Garrett Morris character and the Sean sidekick character, and a lot of the roles that Martin ended up playing, like Otis the security guard and Roscoe, Snot-Nosed Kid, and King Beef. I think we did that one.
No, of course, Martin Lawrence, a phenomenal comedian from even from that era. He had tons and tons of voices. If
not for Martin Lawrence, Tyler Perry wouldn't have anybody to steal from.
Yeah, I think that may be true.
I'm glad that you admit it.
Just throwing it out there. I might be wrong.
I appreciate that. When we were first asked to interview for the show, out here in California, there are a bunch of galleries in malls called the Martin Lawrence Galleries. I thought it was an interview to do a gallery show. I didn't know who Martin Lawrence was. And so we went. We saw his stand-up act, and man, was he funny! And in 2 seconds, we said yes. But I also said that I wasn't going to pretend that I know what it's like to be black. I'm not going to write jargon and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't do that. But I said what Jane and I can do, and that's the same in every house in the world. I know male-female stuff. That's what we'll write. And we had a black writing staff that fixed things if they weren't right. Because I wasn't good. I thought it'd be too stupid, too patronizing to pretend I know what I'm talking about. But we had a great time on that show. Martin was a little difficult, I will say. But
I've heard that.
but I will defend him here too. When you're a stand-up comedian, you are your own writer, producer, director, and performer for years before you ever come to meet somebody like me who's going to turn your act into a sitcom. So when you suddenly, then when that happens, there's a major trust factor that has to take place. Because, they've been doing their act, they know their brand, they know why they're funny, what makes them funny. And for somebody like me to go, I know you've been doing this for a long time, but now I'm in charge, and I'm going to tell you this. It made for a little awkward segue, but we finally got there. And I think by the end of the season, he respected us and what we brought to the table. But he was rather demanding, all to make the show better, not just because he was a lunatic. And,
I like how you separated that out. You're like, he was demanding, but he didn't ask for just green Skittles.
He also had friends in the writing staff, and he would literally come in the room and threaten to kill them if the scripts didn't get funnier. So that happened a lot, actually.
That's awesome. I know in particular, like not to say that there are 1,000 actors that act exactly like that, especially in Hollywood, where they act like, I need special, like a special trailer. I need a special timing that I can only do things in a day.
He didn't do that.
No. That's some crazy stuff. Like, I've heard some crazy stuff happen.
He would scream, this script is too cartoon. It's too cartoon. And I'm thinking, you're playing your mother with a mustache. Why is that not cartoon? So we didn't know where the line was. Really, it changed all the time.
Yeah, that would get kind of tricky, especially when you're just like, all right, action, you're a big baby, and then you're like, yeah. Yeah, that's a tough line to draw, man.
But he was always professional. I will say that. And I have worked with my first TV show was with Bob Newhart, and that was a class act that nobody could follow. Man, he was funny, but he was generous. It taught me that whoever the star of the show is, I don't care who you are as a producer. The star of the show sets the tone for the entire set.
Oh, of course.
And Bob was, it felt like one big family, and he just happened to be the head of the family. And I've worked on other shows where you want to kill the guy who's starring in the show.
Can you mention names, or is it Andrew Dice Clay? What?
I don't think I can mention names.
No.
Because you rhyme the names.
But I would say for all the different shows we've done, I've probably that's only been a handful of people. It's really only been a handful of people, and a lot of them are stand-up comedians who don't trust whoever else is in charge of the show.
No, of course, you've worked
some jerks too,
Oh, sure. Well, you worked with hundreds and hundreds of different actors through your time in Hollywood. Including like John Goodman, D.L. Hughley, Brooke Shields, Martin and the other Wayans brothers, Martin Lawrence, of course, Seth MacFarlane. Who was the funniest in your time in Hollywood so far, like, that you could remember?
You mean just as a human being?
Oh, yeah. Just entirely like a funny human being, like on and off set. They're always on all the time.
The funniest person I ever worked with was Don Rickles.
Don Rickles, yep.
Ah, you win, Sparky. Dang it. We took a little bet beforehand. We were like, who's he gonna pick? And I was like, I don't know. I said,
no question. But he was also a very quiet, polite, nice guy. But when he saw that there was an audience, if there was more than 3 people in the room, he'd turn it on.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always fun going to a restaurant with him because the poor unsuspecting waiter would come over and Don would do a nightclub act at that guy,
Oh, no.
It was so fun. We left, there was one dinner in particular, I remember leaving the restaurant with Don. Jane and I were with Don, and as we walked out, we had to go down a little corridor to get out of the restaurant, and coming in was Warren Beatty and Gary Shandling. And Don stopped, didn't say hello to them at all. He just attacked them. Joke after joke after joke about how large Warren Beatty's head was and how Gary Shandling sleeps with the animals. And he just kept going crying. They were laughing so hard. Don didn't even say goodbye. He just finished doing the jokes, walked out the restaurant, and then turned to Jamie very, very timidly and said, Did I do okay? That's Rickles. Yeah.
That is Don Rickles, like dead on. Boom. I've heard some crazy stories.
The show was originally for Richard Lewis. He came to Jane and me. We had written for him and Jamie Lee Curtis on Anything But Love, and he asked us to write this show. So we met with Don, and I had written for him before on the Bob Newhart show. He had a guest spot on it, and we wrote that script. But the only thing he said to me was about how to write for him. He said, "Don't do what they did to me on CPO Sharky," which was an earlier sitcom he had. And I said, "What did they do?" They would say Don enters and does business. That's what all the script would say. And then he'd have to insult people standing next to him off the top of his head.
Oh my God! And his people work was amazing.
Yeah. So we scripted everything he had to say, and what we ended up doing, which was brilliant on the part of my producer, my line producer, the guy who's in charge of the crew, basically. He told the camera guys never turn the cameras off.
Oh yeah.
Because even when people yelled "cut," Don would immediately attack somebody in the audience or insult the actor, or So we kept all that footage, and as the show went on, our show got shorter and shorter, and the outtakes at the end got longer and longer because they were just too funny.
Oh so Billy, Richard Lewis, he plays himself obviously on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Is that as close as he is in reality, or is he kind of putting on a little bit?
It's pretty close. It's pretty close. He's neurotic. He's just a neurotic guy, but he also knows what's funny and what's not. He knows how to play it,
So Larry David likes to talk to him like, oh, does your new girlfriend have big enough breasts? What do you think, her breasts are big? I don't think they're that big. Any back and forth like that have you witnessed?
He's happily married now. I mean, he's been married for a while. They play him single on that show.
Yeah.
He me. I will say that when we did Anything But Love, I wasn't in charge of that show, so I didn't get this part of him. When we did Daddy Dearest, he was always trying to make the scripts better, which is great. But I got a lot of notes. Fax to my house, and it was like, oh my God. And for the most part, he was right. Every time, because a lot of these stand-up guys, they don't shut it off when the night's over and they go home. They're still working. They're scribbling stuff and
tell me about it, dude. I've been at it for 10 years right now, and this COVID thing really messed up 2020 a little bit. Tony, thankfully, he said, "Hey, man," he's like, "we still got the podcast for 2020." I'm like, "Yeah, this is all right because there's a major disease. That you ever hear that hypothetical, like, what if the whole world got sick? Ever hear that? And then it turned into reality this year. It's like, son of a
yeah.
It's Outbreak all over again, the movie.
yeah, that was actually not a bad movie. I liked it.
A lot of people I know have watched that since the pandemic started, and I was like, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah. I'm good with Ebola.
I'm reading it right now. I can just look down the block and see this. Yeah.
Now I know you of course by reading your actual book, Get in the Car, Jane. When did that particularly come to fruition for you?
A couple of years ago, I wrote, just so I had it written down on paper, I wrote about developing Suddenly Susan for Brooke Shields, because I wanted it all written down. So my kids at that time had asked me, they said they didn't understand what it was I did as a producer, writer of television. They had seen all my plays. They would come to the theater and they'd see the process, so they got the plays. But they didn't understand the TV stuff. It was just something I went to the studio and then I came home. So I started writing that for them, and then I realized I had journals. I don't know why I kept them, because I never kept a journal in my life. I never kept it on any other business part of my life except the TV shows. I went back and found these things, and I was like, well, I have a lot of stuff on Newhart. I have a lot of stuff on this. So I started putting it together into a book. And I had a ball putting it together. Jane, my writing partner, she lived long enough to read the whole thing and edit some things, and she picked the pictures for the book. But she, at one point, she read it. She said, "I didn't throw a teapot at you. I threw a vacuum cleaner at you."
I don't think you can be a man without having a woman ever throw something at you in general.
Well, Jane had a nice Irish temper when she wanted to, so, yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it goes from the very start of your illustrious career, of course. And, as far as your movies are concerned, you were in Jaws 2.
Yeah.
You were in, I mean, there's several movies. There's Taps, there's Star Trek. You were in, like I said, quite a few movies.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite? And this even leads into now. I mean, you have a love for writing, which is really fantastic, and it shows through your work.
Oh, good, thanks.
And I've noticed that, like, through all the sitcoms, and have even in your career, what is your favorite by far to write? Not necessarily for the comedic genre, but in all the genres combined.
I would rather be doing theater full time. That's my love. That's what I started at. I always intended to just perform. I started writing to give myself something to act in because auditions were few and far between, so I created my own stuff, And the plays took off and had a life of their own. And if the plays had not brought me out to California to write for Newhart, I probably never would have gone into TV.
Wow.
I feel at home on stage. We rewrote 25 plays so far, and Jane and I acted in all of them. And so what we'd end up doing once we started writing for TV is TV would be from June through March, and then we'd go back to New Jersey, New York, and we'd do an original play every year back there. So we got the best of both, really. And then once we wrote the first play, which was Love, Sex, and the IRS, we published that with Samuel French out of New York. And I just sent it to them as a fluke with the reviews and all that. And we'd gotten great reviews, and we got held over for many weeks. And they wrote back and said, we'll publish this one plus your next 2 shows. And we looked at each other and went, next 2? I guess we have to write 2 more. So that's how we started writing.
That's awesome that he instantly double booked you, too. He was just like, whatever you got left.
Yeah. Who knew?
This one's going to be money, but give me whatever you got left, and we'll turn it into something good. That's too funny. I know with Newhart, of course, was your writing debut?
With TV debut.
With TV debut.
I think we probably had about maybe 6 or 7 plays produced and published by then. But Newhart was our first staff job.
Okay.
The first TV job we had, this is not in the book actually, was for a show based on comedian Louie Anderson's life.
Wow.
And apparently the creator of that show was a man named Sam Bobrick, who was also a playwright. And he hired us because we were playwrights too. And he sat me down the first day. He said, "You're a playwright. Let me explain the difference between theater and television." I said, "Okay." He said, "You're a playwright, which means in the theater, everybody works to please you. You are the top of the pyramid. Mm-hmm. Welcome to television. You are a blueprint, and different groups of people are going to do whatever they want with your work. And as soon as you accept that, you're going to be fine." And he was right. It took me probably 2 years after that before I started fighting. It's like, why are you changing that line? The one I wrote was better. But to give you some idea of how the intention of what you're trying to do changes by the time it actually gets on the air. That Louie Anderson show, Louie wasn't in it. It was based on his life. Mm-hmm. And his father, if I remember this right, his father was a big band musician.
Correct.
Traveled the country, leaving the mother, and if I have this right, 10 kids at home. So it was about the 10 kids and the mother. Well, by the time it went on the air, or by the time they filmed it, he wasn't a big band musician. He wasn't out of town, and there were 2 kids.
Oh my gosh!
So what was the show?
A little bit of editing there,
And they ended up the night before they shot it, because it was not going well, I guess. They brought in, for great pleasure for me, Audrey Meadows from the Honeymooners to play the mother-in-law. But they didn't rewrite the script. They just added lines for her to the existing script, and if you pulled out her role, nothing would have changed. It was very weird.
Oh my gosh!
But I got to work with Audrey Meadows.
That's pretty cool.
The Louie Anderson actually does have a show on now. I'm sure you're familiar with it, where he plays his mother.
I thought he was brilliant on that show. I loved that Baskets. I love that show.
Baskets, yeah.
They just canceled it, and I wish they had kept. I would have watched.
Oh, are you serious? That's news to me. This is terrible.
Him play that mother character forever. I thought it was brilliant.
That could have happened. It's the same way when you see Martin Short's Jiminy Glick character get canceled, and you're like, all right, I guess it only had a little bit of range to it. You know, there's not much more he can do with Jiminy Glick. That's about 3 to 5 seasons max, and you're really maxing it out on 5 seasons.
But I'd still watch him do that. I love him.
Oh, it's still watchable. Absolutely, it's more watchable than what's coming out. It's more watchable than Rocky V. But then again, a lot of stuff is a lot of stuff. Rocky V or a Lifetime movie these days, you're like, oh my god, pick your poison. You know.
What's the newest Rocky one? What was the one?
This one, I saw it was Creed 2.
Yeah,
just when you thought Creed 1 wasn't enough, where they really, they put in some plot devices on this one that leave you a little bit in tears. Where Apollo Creed apparently was living a double life, and here he had a son with another woman. I know you're thinking, Billy, that sounds stupid. It sounds like they just wanted to write something in there just for the hell of it. Sounds like they had a very great actor all around, but it wasn't a female actor, and female boxing isn't very popular, so they needed a male actor. And pure Rocky fans know that Apollo Creed had no boys, or did he? Okay, then insert Adonis, and he took his father's last name because why the hell not? And he's got to track down Rocky because, well, there wouldn't be a movie without him. So they had.
It's insert A into B.
And who does he have to fight? He's got to fight none other than Ivan Drago's son. Holy crap. And they did it twice. Billy, they did it twice. This happened twice. I know you're thinking, man, you can only get away with that shit once.
Not true. Not true.
Wow.
Do you remember when Louie Anderson actually had his own cartoon?
I never watched it. Yeah. I gotta tell you, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, Louie Anderson.
Fantastic
really
comedian. Fantastic.
Really good. But I do miss Baskets. I wish they'd kept that on.
Poor Baskets. Aw.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you in particular, and not saying that because you're a writer, has anyone pitched you an idea so ludicrous that it was just like, why are you even talking to me right now?
I don't listen to pitches, quite frankly.
Oh no!
I just don't.
Billy, you are the pitcher, right? You do the pitch.
Yeah, you do the pitching.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I made the mistake once of reading a script from somebody some friend who wanted me to read it, and I read it and I went, well, we're writing something just like this, and ever since then, accused me of robbing the script.
Ah, no.
I was like,
Just wait, the night's not over.
That's where you do have people out there that believe that only that two people can't share the same type of idea. Like, it's like when somebody says, "Hey man, I have a fart joke just like that." It's like, yeah, man, everybody farts. I'll
tell you, when we did the Don Rickles show, the premise of the show was a psychiatrist who lived with his blue-collar father.
Okay.
Had a brother who didn't his life was screwed up, and had a coworker who gave him advice because his own life was sort of a misery. That's the plot to Frasier.
That's the plot to Frasier.
It's also the plot to Daddy Dearest. We both went on the air the exact same season.
Yep.
Their show was a little different. Our show was a little different. Yeah. Their show ran 100 years. Ours was often in half a season. But you never know. It's what makes anybody can have an idea, and everybody has an idea. It's the execution of the idea that.
Yeah, there were two nice ideas back in the 90s. There was and they went back to back. NBC. It's almost like they threw out two of the same idea and saw which one stuck. A very talented actor, Jonathan Silverman. Very familiar with him, right?
Yep.
Weekend at Bernie's 2. Hilarious, right?
Yep.
So it was called the Single Guy. It came on right after a TV show called Friends. Identical mirrored shows. I'm like, man, if NBC did this on purpose, they're just taking a little pull. It's almost like they thought to themselves, I wonder if we can get away with Friends because Jonathan Silverman over there keeps asking us for money, and we don't want to do that, you know.
Well, Friends and oh god, I can't even think of the name of the show now. There was another show with an African American cast. It was the same show. Same show.
I know you're talking about. Crap, what's the name of the show? Oh Lord.
But anyway, yeah, there are a lot of similar shows. You know, there was a Captain Nice and a Mr. Terrific back in the '60s. Two spoofs. After Get Smart, everybody tried spoofing everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a Father Knows Best, and then there was a Father Knows Nothing, which was vegetable. He was like, he didn't know anything. No, I'm joking. Although I wish they made that show just as a counter, you know, opposite. Why not?
How do you stand right now, Bill? As far as remakes in Hollywood, just totally not necessarily because of the lack of, you know, great material that is out there, but because Hollywood is such a money-making succubus. which is a good name for it. A money-making succubus. They try to remake movies that have already made $1 million or more, or millions of dollars or more, I should say, in their lifetime. So now, like, in particular, like, there's, like, The Scorpion King is going to get remade. They had talked about The Goonies getting remade. They had talked about, like, all of these iconic movies in Hollywood getting remade. How do you feel about remaking a movie that has already made their mark in history?
I don't think you should remake any movie. I think you should come up with a new idea and make that. They never compare to the... I mean, look, you know...
Billy, say it louder for the people in the back. I don't think they'll remake any movie. Holy...
No, do you want somebody to remake The Godfather? It'll happen eventually.
Probably, yeah.
Don't do it. You already cursed it. It's happening. They're already making
it. And they're never, you know, it's all about name recognition because everybody's so afraid of, you know, the market's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So, well, let's remake this movie because everybody already knows the title.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It's just stupid to me. And it happens all the time. My ex-wife, Adrienne Barbeau, every one of her horror movies has been remade, and they're not as good as the original. Sorry for the folks who made them. You know, there's...
Well, the actors were probably more excited to do a remake than the writers, obviously, because the writers, all they had to do is a copy and paste, a line change, and they're like, all right, guys, let's take the afternoon off. Holy crap. You know, this was an easy day. Who else got $50?
And cut, snap. We'll cut it in editing. Everybody go home. That happens a lot, though. That's crazy. Yeah, like,
right when I saw Pet Sematary being remade, I'm like, guys, you pushed it too far here. You did it too far. Stephen King doesn't need the money. You know, he's not getting a kickback for that. He's probably, you know, he didn't even want the sequel made. Rumor has it. From his own voice.
I'm such a huge Stephen King fan. I've got every book he ever wrote in the back.
Yeah, Stephen King, for every hit that he had, he did have a flop here and there, but man, yeah.
Not a lot of his books have translated into great films. You know, but the ones that have are terrific. But for all that volume of work that he's got, people don't hear it right when they're translating.
I agree with you, man. But there was one better movie than there was a book. It was better for cinema, and it was chopped up from the book. They took limited chapters from the book It, because there's a terrible chapter in the movie It where in the book It that there's like a gangbang rape in the end. I mean, there's some terrible parts in the book It where you're like, man, who wrote this? And it's just like, wow, maybe Stephen King got bored on that part of it, and he's just like, maybe they gangbang raped a 14-year-old girl as a celebration. And they're like, hey, Stephen King, you know, I'm your editor and everything, and I really like chapter 14 there, man. Really got me, you know, like, so they took that part out. So they really manufactured, whoever produced the idea for It, They sold it twice over. It was remade. You could put anybody in a clown costume sort of thing and then pop it out there 20 years later for Halloween. So that was a better movie concept, in my opinion. I like the one with Tim Curry better than the actual version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim Curry's an amazing actor.
Tim Curry's acting ability is so amazing that he could play a remake in the movie The Addams Family. He could play Gomez in the remake of an Addams Family movie and still pull it off. He could play in the movie Clue, where you're thinking to yourself, really, it's a board game movie, and still pull it off. Where you're like, all right, we got one good actor here. This is good.
Yeah. And especially from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, one of the biggest movies of his career. But I mean, that's a movie that can never be remade, like you said before. But I think especially with Hollywood, and you know, like I've touched on it, they necessarily haven't run out of ideas, but they're trying to milk the teat of the public for whatever they can get from them.
Well, Bill, you were in Jaws too, so they kind of redid Jaws a little bit with what was it? One of your sci-fi movies there, Sparky, Sharknado. They put Jaws in a tornado. There you go. That's all they did. They're like, how about we do Jaws, but he's a tornado, and there's a lot of Jaws.
I don't know how they sold that show. I
think it's a lot of acid.
A lot of drugs involved with that. And
either that or just like a lot of combined lazy writers in the same. I'm guessing the combined weight in the room of lazy writers were at least 2 tons. You know, and there was only 7 of them.
But everybody watched it.
Everybody, it was like, oh man, it's something you can't keep your eyes off of, but you wish you could. I didn't watch it myself. I saw a preview for it. I'm like, oh, so Saturday Night Live's on, and I'm thinking to myself, no, this is real. They really did something. They really did it.
They've really, and not necessarily they jumped the shark, but they made it into like a really bad B-rated horror movie. Where it was just like raining sharks everywhere from the tornado, and
that wasn't one though.
Oh yeah.
You know what that movie was missing? That movie was missing Scott Baio as the hero. All right, just because those are 2 words you normally don't hear together. Scott Baio, the hero. He was the Fonz's afterthought, you know, Chachi or what.
I don't often hear the word Scott Baio. So.
Exactly. You don't hear Scott Baio.
Nobody should.
Scott Baio as much as you hear a weatherman say Sharknado. Normally doesn't happen.
Yeah. Our movie was, I don't know if you guys know, there were 2 versions of Jaws 2. The first version, I was in both actually. I was Robert Shaw's son in the first version, and then they, after 4 weeks of rehearsal and shooting a couple of scenes, they sent everybody home, and they fired the director and they fired the writer. And I got a phone call saying, come back to work. We're going to be in Florida now. And I flew to Florida, and there was a whole new cast, new director, new writer. And
no, that was due to a fight, right? There was a physical altercation?
No. There's never been a clear explanation, except for the fact that John Hancock, who is a great director that Bang the Drum Slowly, and his wife, Dorothy Tristan, who wrote the script, it was a very dark adult horror film. And they didn't want to and Universal didn't want to make an adult horror film. They wanted a PG-rated movie that would bring in more box office.
They wanted Beach Blanket Bingo gets eaten by sharks.
Yeah, something like that. So most of the cast, I didn't have to do this, and I don't know why. The cast had to fly back out to California and audition for the new director, and a lot of them were let go and recast.
Wow.
And so I went to Florida. It was like a whole new animal there. And people often say people don't care what's behind the scenes. They just want to see a good movie, But if you knew the backstory of what the director and Carl Gottlieb, the writer, went through to make Jaws 2, they did a brilliant piece of work. A director usually has at least a year to plot out his film and cast it and do all this stuff. Janos Swark had 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Carl Gottlieb had to rewrite the script from scratch the night before we filmed each scene.
Oh, wow.
So, it was pretty rough.
That's really plain. That's really like writing the rules as you go, man. That's tough.
Yeah. And it was a massive budget, and they almost shut it down completely, but they didn't. It took us 11 months to film the whole thing. And I had a great death scene, which I wish the footage exists somewhere. I did my own stunt. I insisted I did my own stunt. They had a stunt man do it, and I saw it in dailies. I went, I want to do that. It doesn't look like me. It doesn't look like me. I want to do it. So they agreed to let me do it. David Brown, the producer, said to me, you can do it, but it has to be the last thing we shoot. I said, why does that have to be the last thing we shoot? He said, in case you die.
Oh, good.
So they put me on the pontoon of the boat, and they put ropes around my waist, and they had scuba divers underwater ready to yank me under when the 10-ton piece of metal came crashing down on top of me, which, in hindsight, I was like, what an idiot. But I did it. And there's pictures of it that float around on the web. But no one can find the footage, which makes me crazy, And we didn't know, there was a fight with the ratings board the entire time.
Billy, we have it for you on the show right now. I'm going to play it for you. Are you ready? No, I'm just kidding.
They were fighting with the ratings board the entire time we were filming it in terms of how gory things were going to be, and they wanted to keep it as a PG. My death was the easiest one to eliminate because it was the last one in the film. And so they had me film swimming up on the rocks, safe and
yeah, they let you get away.
That kind of sucks, though, man. If it doesn't even matter on the acting ability on that one. They're just like, well, you came in last, so we're just
going to write you out.
Yeah, but in the final shot of the movie, the camera pulls back and you see all the surviving kids on the island there. I'm not there. I was eaten by a shark.
I just assumed that kid killed himself. Man, all right. I'm joking. I didn't take notice, but to count the kids. But that is something I'm going to look for when watching the movie Jaws 2. Did you put any of that in the book that you wrote?
The book is entirely about my TV shows.
Entirely.
I'm saving the movie stuff for another book, and then I'm saving the plays for another book.
Nice.
Because otherwise it's going to be too long a book.
Well, what's the title of that book again? Just so that way if people do pop in here and they are popping on the Podguyz Podcast, they'll know to look out for Billy's book. All about the TV show.
Get in the car, Jane. Adventures at the TV Wasteland.
Get in the car, Jane.
Look for it at your local Amazon bookstore, by the way.
Amazon, or you can do Barnes & Noble. They have it too. And I think our website is selling hardcover copies too, so you can go there. That's vanzantmillmore.com.
I'm like a quarter to halfway through right now. I'm kind of... I'm working it.
Okay, good.
As far as... Well, of course, you grew up in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Good old Red Bank area, right?
I was born in Red Bank, grew up in Middletown, and Central Jersey, which people claim isn't a thing, but that's what we call it. Central Jersey.
I heard Red Bank is mainly Eskimo. No, I'm joking. You never hear that.
Red Bank was the birthplace of Count Basie and me.
Okay.
And
I love the fact that it's the claim to fame is Count Basie and myself are the most famous people that ever came out of Red Bank.
and Kevin Smith, director Kevin Smith.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Three statues you will find.
Yeah. and my brother's no slouch either. So
of course. That's what I wanted to get into. I know the family of Van Zants have scaled musically, as far as your brother being Stephen Van Zandt of the East Street Band.
Mm-hmm.
And
how's the East Street Band doing these days? All right?
Fantastic. Letter to You is a fantastic album, and came out at the exact right time, I think, and I love it. I listen to it all the time.
I never liked their front man. I thought they can go solo on their own. And I said, that East Street Band, they got all the instruments and stuff, so they could just tell that Bruce guy to go take a hike.
Dang, Bruce Springsteen. Damn him. I had one or two more questions for you. Of course, theatrical play is your main forte, but you've done mostly writing and starring in your own particular plays, correct?
Correct.
Right. So, from your experience in, of course, theater, in drama, I'm sure you've had quite your fill as far as other actors.
I'll tell you, I don't usually have problems with that because we use the same group of guys and ladies every time we do a show. We call it our unofficial repertory company. And
I was actually just going to go into that.
We write a show, and I always write with somebody in mind, whether I cast them or not, so I can hear their voice a little clearer. And I don't like it when everybody every character has the same cadence because everybody talks differently, right?
Correct.
So, we would usually debut our shows in May or June back in New Jersey, and then we take them up to New York or wherever we were going to do them. And I would call my actor friends in probably January, telling them, all right, clear the dates, you're in the next show. What am I playing? You'll find out when you get there. And that's how I cast the show. But there was, and if it's somebody I don't like working with, I don't work with them again.
Oh,
Real
nice.
simple.
Nice.
But the people that I do love to work with, it's Old Home Week when we get together. There's a shorthand because we've worked together for so long. And it's just fun. It's just fun. Again, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. TV, theater, film, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
Now, of course, you talk about as far as doing things that are fun, things that you find near and dear to your heart. Of course, through TV and theater and movies and stuff like that. Is there anything that you in particularly passed on that you kind of regretted not doing?
I've regretted a couple of things I did do, but
haven't we all?
If you haven't lived, right?
True.
No. So I made my own way through the whole thing, really. So if there's something
that's impressive. It's impressive for me because you see a lot of these. And not to say that there's a lot of actors, there's a lot of directors that only work with particular people. They only work with, A-list celebrities because they always want more of a blockbuster dollar as compared to, the things like that.
I got one question for you, Billy, and it's kind of did you ever have a thought to yourself that with one script or maybe several where you said to yourself, you know what? If this one doesn't go through, if this one doesn't succeed at all, I'm never going to get hired again. Did you ever have that?
Every time I write a script.
Every time, yeah. There's always that sense of insecurity, and then you always you pump it out there, and then there's that thank God they liked it, or to a degree. There's always
all our plays were farces when we started, probably the first 5, and there was sort of a structure to a farce, so it was the same for each show, So we knew how to do that. Then we started trying to branch out because it was like, well, we never tried this. Let's do this. Well, we want to write a musical? I don't know. Nobody said we can't, so let's do that. And a lot of those shows turned out to be the best because they scared me to death before I started working on them. And I knew that was the right move to make. But there were a couple of times when we did a Marx Brother music. I wrote a show for the Marx Brothers, even though and we put that on. And the night before, I remember a friend came to a rehearsal. I don't know, Billy. I don't know. I think this one's not going to work. And then it opened and it was a big hit. The other one was Silent Laughter. This was very, very a delicate thing that we did. I wanted to write a slapstick comedy movie, silent movie, and perform it on stage.
Ooh.
Which we did. We did the whole show in black, gray, and white in costume.
Oh, no.
I had a Wurlitzer organ and a huge thing. Took up the whole front of the theater. Guy was playing that along with our actions. We had the dialogue written above us on cards for the audience to read. We did it exactly like a silent movie. We had a pie fight. that ended the show with the.
I like the concept, but to do it live compared to record it, man, that's nerve wracking as hell. You're making me nervous just thinking about it.
It was terrifying. I remember about 3 nights before we opened, I always invite a couple people to sneak in early just because I like their opinion and stuff. And I remember the 3 of them sitting there, and after the words, they went, "I don't think so."
Oh no!
And your friend, the people you're picking to come in there, they're going to tell you. They're going to,
And that was 3 days before we opened, so it was like, well, we already sold tickets. We're doing the show. And
you're already knee deep in the manure on that one, man.
Turned out great. We ended up running it in New York, and
then Billy, an opposite question for you, kind of on the opposite spectrum. Have you ever had a really great play? You know that it's scripted perfectly, everything's nailing, but then nobody show up really. Maybe you got 10 or 11 people showing up.
No, I always sell out. Sorry.
Nice. Talking small play.
It was always big money, buddy. Big money.
People have been saying me since I was 6 years old. What are you talking about, kid?
When I first started out as an actor, you do little dinner theater things. There was. I remember one show where we sat backstage and went, "Damn it! There's one more person in the audience than there is in the cast. We have to do the show." Yeah,
I've done that once or twice. I've actually done dinner theater, and we did a production, and he had just asked us. He's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Make sure you invite everybody you know." And I'm like, "All right," so that's like 5 or 6 people that'll actually come. You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Oh wait, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, all right. Well, we got 5 or 6 people for dinner theater. We'll be okay."
That's right.
I actually wrote a script. It was for a dinner, a mystery dinner theater sort of thing. Only it was terribly. It was on the basis of a very darkly written joke of a tragedy. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll tell you about it off air, and you'll probably not find it funny, but I will tell you about it off air. Because it's just a little bit too rated R to be telling anybody who's even up at 10 o'clock on Facebook or Spotify or anything like that. But you might find it a little humorous. I'll just get it off my chest. You're going to love it. Well, you won't. You'll say, "Wow, it's kind of funny, but holy crap, I would never do it." It gives you that scared to hell kind of feeling.
You're scaring me now, but okay.
We officially did the seance. The seance it was called. And we actually did it in a haunted house, which was really it was weird. It was a weird one, but it was a fantastic mystery theater type of play. But it was fantastic.
It was still quite popular. I think I like the fact that they do those.
Sparky, you got any questions, brother?
No, you guys just about covered everything. You know how I am. I sit back into the second half of the show. You know me.
All right.
I'm the silent assassin.
Billy, do you want to stick around for a couple more minutes? We're going to do our second half of the show, which is we actually play a little game with our lovely guest. And this is a fantastic game called Stupid Criminals, which I'll actually, not to say that I'm going to try to book an idea off you, or to you, or pitch an idea to you, but I had an idea where we actually do this fun game where it's called Stupid Criminals Across America, and we talk about all of these things that have been either in the news, on police blotters, blah, 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 and you need to pick out the fake story. But I was thinking it would be a great show idea to have people who actually do stupid things that they learn from online. They actually try them in real life and actually succeed.
I think that's YouTube, though, right?
Well, in movie form, though. Yeah, so it's a series of coincidental events that they learn online that they'll try to do to make money going across America, and fortunately, they get away from cops, they get away from different people doing stupid things, like these stupid criminals that we're going to get into now. But Sparky, how do we play the game, brother?
Well, what's going to happen is you are going to break this down into 3 categories of 5 stories. Now, the objective is of us in the studio audience and anybody listening at home is you want to pick out the fake story. But the thing about it is, though, all the stories could be true. So
we
keep
shall
that in
see.
mind. And all the stories are never fake. But the main rule is if you hear the word meth involved in any of the stories, it's always true.
True. It's like a little shortcut right there. Whenever you hear the word crystal meth, buckle your seatbelts. You know.
All right, so we're in the actual wonderful state of Virginia this week.
Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh, it's for lovers there, Sparky.
Ah, it is for lovers.
Hey, but wait! Before you start the stories, I went through my picture book, and I actually found the still of the stunts that Billy was actually trying to perform on the set of Jaws still.
Oh, let's see this wonderful Picasso drawing of yours, Sparky.
Yes, look at. I think that's the way how it went. Isn't that how it went?
You're not too far off.
Oh no! Pull!
Billy, is that the diagram that the director showed you? Like a little something like this?
This was the storyboard they used to shoot the film. Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to go over these 5 stories as quickly as possible. I know we're working on some time constraints, but I'll start out with story number 1. Virginia man arrested when he came to the Department of Social Services to apply for welfare. When he pulled up in a Hummer H2, police were confused, ran his plates, and found out that it was stolen.
Well, you can't afford a car if you're going for welfare, but you got to find a way to get there.
Story number 2, Virginia man arrested for robbing a refrigerator at a new home site, only to get stuck in the mud. When they realized that they had locked the keys in the truck, they had then abandoned the truck, leading to their arrest via license plate.
Okay, that sounds enough ambiguous where I'm going to go with true. Yeah, think about that.
Story number 3, Virginia man arrested for robbing a bank with a note that said, I need $150,000 in bonds right now.
Very specific stealer. Yeah.
Police takes 3 to 4 minutes to get here. I would appreciate if you ring the alarm 1 minute after I'm gone.
Holy directions. What?
Make sure the money doesn't blow up on the way out. Story number 4, Virginia woman arrested for sending a lovely Valentine's Day card to her husband in jail.
Oh.
Yeah, too bad it was laced with heroin inside the card.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's true love, when there's heroin inside of the note that you're giving your husband for Valentine's Day.
True. Heroin straight to the heart. And story number 5, Virginia man arrested for robbing a 7-Eleven. His plan was flawless. Except for wearing his work clothes, including the name of the company that he worked for, and his particular name embroidered on the shirt.
Well, the police should go after the company he's working for. They're obviously not paying him enough.
I'm going with that one. I'm going to go with that one.
Going with number 5, I was thinking that one too, Billy. You know, that guy's got a job. He could just be a scumbag. You never know. It runs rampant in some parts of the world.
Touchy subject sometimes.
I mean, look at how fast dumb and careless got around the world. You know, I remember back in April where it's just like, maybe I'll wash your hands. Like, I will not. My freedom. It's like, all right, man. You know, relax.
America.
I'm going number 5 too, Tony. I'm going number 5. I can't disagree with Billy on this one. It's yeah.
All right.
He's got a job. He should be able to afford something.
Sparky, what are you thinking, brother?
They're all true.
He's thinking they're all true. All right, Sparky.
That's an every week Sparky moment right there. I'm going to start out with story number 1. We happen to give a little backstory behind these stories, if they are true. And Sparky does draw a picture for each one. Starting with number 1.
Like a reanimation.
The reanimation, of course. Or it could be like the Swamp Thing for Adrienne Barbeau. Virginia man arrested when he came to the Department of Social Services to apply for welfare. When he pulled up in a Hummer H2, police were confused and ran plates, seeing that it was stolen. True story.
Why did they run the plates?
It's a true story.
That one's true?
That's a true story. What is my neighbor doing here? Social services, and clearly it's a box truck of some sort, probably indicating the Hummer.
Hummer, their Sparky. I don't know. It's accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Cops actually remembered who he was and why he was there. Then they seen him pull up in the Hummer H2, and they were like, "Wow, this guy is filing for unemployment, or not even unemployment. He was applying for welfare." And that's when they ran his plates.
Said, "Wait a second, you don't have any money. How did you get a car?" Let's run the plate so that way we don't look like terrible people.
Of course. It's like when you see someone who's, in their 30s, 40s, hanging around the park every day around children. Like, you're going to run his plates to see if he has prior...
Yeah, or when you see on Facebook where somebody takes a selfie and they're like, "Love my life." And you're like, "No, you don't. Your life is terrible. I actually know you in reality."
Yeah. Story number 2, Virginia man arrested for robbing a refrigerator at a new home site, only to get stuck in the mud. When they realized that they had locked the keys in their truck, they abandoned the truck, only to get arrested later, of course, with traced license plate. True story. True story. If we can't get the truck out, we are going to have to run for it. And that's exactly what happened. They tried to rev it up so much with the refrigerator in the back that it damaged the house.
Yeah.
They damaged the house. They crushed it with rocks and mud and like everything that you can imagine, and really set it in there. Then, when they tried to get out to push the truck, they locked the doors in the truck, leaving the keys inside the truck, and then said, "Oh, well, now we can't get back in the truck. We'll have to leave it for another time."
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly when you're trying to steal a refrigerator from the house...
Normally, a lot of people, they don't have their getaway vehicles ready at all. And it does
not a bright criminal.
And of all things to steal a refrigerator, dude, just steal ice every week, all right? That's it. It's foolproof. You could say, if you get caught, you say, "Officer, you can't charge me the ice because it's a bag of water right now. What are you going to do?"
True. Story number 3, Virginia man arrested for robbing a bank with a note that said, "I need $150,000 in bonds right now. Police takes 3 to 4 minutes to get here. I would appreciate if you ring the alarm 1 minute after I'm gone. Make sure the money doesn't blow up on the way out." True story.
All right. He's covering his bases. I don't hate this.
All these are true,
huh? So far, looking good. Here I am.
It doesn't say very much for Virginia.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Here I am at the bank demanding money from the teller. What will she say? # wish Steve-O was here.
Because he did post it on Instagram when he robbed the bank.
That is a true story. Apparently, he posted the whole thing on Instagram, claiming that it was a joke.
Virginia seems to have very neurotic kind of bank robbers.
Oh, yeah.
Just wait, Kevin. Just wait. That's all you got. Just wait till the next fight. Just wait.
I'll wait. I'm just
neurotic is an understatement for Virginia. Yeah. Number 4, Virginia woman arrested for sending a lovely Valentine's Day card to her husband in jail. Too bad it had heroin inside the card.
Well, that's not too bad for him.
I'm trying to draw a heart for it. For a true story.
Oh.
True story. Dear honey, since that girl would not write a nice card, I laced it with heroin.
Oh, that's what got her caught. She wrote it in the card.
Yeah.
They probably read the card, the heroin fell out, and they're like, "You know what? There's heroin written all over this." And now it's on the floor.
People are not bright enough.
Packages anyway, don't they?
They check everything.
Billy,
They check everything.
They do when you send people stuff to like jail stuff. That's like a security protocol. So to send like straight up dope right to a prisoner is not a smart woman right there. And I'm sure he didn't marry her for her brains, her body, or her skills in anything. just like shaking that apple tree until one finally falls, and it turned out to be a dirty one. That's the only way, you can...
Heroin never made anyone beautiful. Story number 5, Virginia man arrested for robbing a 7-Eleven. His plan was absolutely flawless. Except for wearing his work clothes, including his name and company name, on his t-shirt.
Man, give this guy a raise if he's doing it.
Sad to say, but it is true. True story.
Hey, we got one right.
Well, it's a perfect explanation to go into your boss and say, hey, obviously I need a raise. I just went to jail for trying to get money from a convenience store.
Clearly, Carl had some bad ideas when he said, hey, I'm working for a so-and-so building company. My name is Carl. Right on his shirt while he's wearing a hoodie and a mask.
Well, his name is Joe in this one, so...
Yeah, I want the money and some cigarettes. He actually, was that the guy that stole 15? No, maybe not. What's not 1,500 in cigarettes, right? No. That's coming up soon. All right, but anyways, he stole cigarettes. He stole some beer, and yeah.
This is why people didn't get arrested so much back in the 70s and 80s. They could start a tab for such things.
That's
and
true.
everybody kind of knew each other in the neighborhood. You could start up a tab and then, senselessly drink and smoke yourself to a slow death. But at least you had a bill and a wife to take care of the bill after you died from smoking and drinking yourself to death. But still, it's nobody died, nobody went to jail over it. And, it's...
Yeah, those are the days.
Yeah.
Let's start out with the next 5. I'll start out with story number 1. Virginia woman arrested for harboring a fugitive when she friended on Facebook the local police department, where she showed pictures of her and the known fugitive together online.
You gotta brag about your boo. Right?
Gotta brag about your boo.
Yeah.
Story.
His street cred probably went through the roof on that.
Oh, it's yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
It's a real story.
No, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo. Story number 2.
Don't get the mumble rappers any ideas.
Oh, yeah. Story number 2, Virginia man arrested for several counts of burglary when breaking into a convenience store to steal exactly $1,500 in cigarettes and a case of beer. He apparently never changed clothes, and he was linked to several robberies in the particular area on different days.
Okay. Right.
Always red flannel guy.
Red flannel. What was he, a cartoon character? They don't change clothes either.
They called him the Red Flannel Bandit. Story number 3, Virginia man arrested for...
Headline.
I know, massive headline. All across Virginia. Red Flannel Bandit comes apart and steals your cigarettes. Story number 3, Virginia man arrested for armed robbery when he planned to hold up an armored car, which he had planned for days. He had stalked them out. He had checked out delivery times. Lo and behold... only to hold up a uniformed driver delivering mop heads.
That one really got to you.
Story number 4. Virginia man arrested for repeatedly laying on the horn next to a neighborhood resource center, which was hosting a community event with cops.
Okay.
Now, this guy laying on the horn had the cops come over to him while he was laying on the horn next door. And he had drug deals on wheels. Yes, drug deals on wheels. With crack.
Kind of like Meals on Wheels, only instead of food, they got drugs. And instead of
Yes.
legal drugs, I'm guessing these were illegal drugs, right?
Way illegal drugs, including crack, heroin, and a loaded weapon in the car in plain sight while he's weighing his materials.
He was selling death, fast death, and then bullet to the head.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how much bullet to the head costs. Probably all your money,
It
right?
has to do with him blowing a horn.
Yeah. This guy, if you're trying trying to do something illegal, you don't normally knock on your horn and draw attention to yourself. But you know what? He was probably getting high on his own supply there, Billy. That was a
I guess so.
Story number 5, Virginia man arrested for theft.
Better be true.
What's that?
Story number 5 better be true.
Story number 5, Virginia man arrested for theft when he went into a Walmart dressed as a cow.
Wait, how can you dress like a cow, Tony? Well, this one's fake. No, you don't dress like a cow. You're the size of a cow. It could be Halloween time, but you don't dress like a cow.
He apparently stole 26 gallons of milk in a cart and then tried leaving without paying.
Did his accomplice dress up like a bee and steal the honey, too?
That is our 5 stories, friends. Where are we going, Kevin?
Yo, man, I'm going story number 5 again. Nobody dresses up like a cow without bringing their bee friend along.
Oh, that's true. True. Could be true. Billy, what are you thinking?
I don't think that one's possible.
I don't know. I've seen activists do worse, especially in California.
Well, that may be true. Yeah, I think if we learned anything, we're supposed to say all of them are true.
That is always an option.
Always an option. Always.
No, there was one that just sounded too stupid to be true. I can't remember which one it was.
Billy, there was one that tricked me the one week. Tony made up the damn story about a surveillance store that got robbed. Like, you know what? Maybe somebody's robbing a surveillance store. That was a fake story, though, and no one got it. It just snuck it right in there.
That's funny. I will say all of them except for the cow are true.
Okay. Sparky, going all in?
They're all true, and I'm tripling down on the cow story.
Tripling down on the cow story? All right.
Down on 0. You realize that's still 0, right? You're not betting anything. That's it, right?
Interesting.
Down, sir. You're not gambling. Triple down, then. All right, well.
Huh. I thought something would have given away more than another. There is a fake story in here somewhere.
Oh man, it better be that cow one. Because
I'll give you the answer. It is not number 5.
Virginia, you just went down below West Virginia.
I'll start out with story number 1.
It's true.
I'll start out with story number 1. Virginia woman arrested for harboring a fugitive when she friended on Facebook the local police department, where she shared pictures of her and the fugitive together.
That one's true.
That is true. You will never find him under the bed. Clearly, it is not a good idea to befriend the police department on Facebook. Then not only are you befriending police on the Facebook, but you're also sharing pictures of the person that you're with who you know is a known criminal.
Wow.
Out into ye old social networking.
Do you pick on Virginia every time you do one of these?
No. We go to a different state every week.
Every time.
Yeah, different state.
Okay.
No, if we needed a state every time, man, Alabama's got enough.
Oh, they got it set up.
We could just turn the whole damn thing into Alabama, man.
Florida man, Alabama man, they're all fantastic.
Yeah, just for the week, there was more to like weed through there. It was sifting through gold, where you really had to make up a big story. But yeah.
Story number 2: Virginia man arrested for several counts of burglary when breaking into a convenience store to steal exactly $1,500 in cigarettes and a case of beer. He never changed clothes and was linked to several robberies in the area on different days. It sounds true, right?
Does sound a little true. The red flannel shirt man.
The 1,500 specifically is weird.
It is weird for a reason, because it's my false story for today.
$1,500 worth of cigarettes, okay. There's the C store.
What is that? That's like 2 packs.
Oh, God. The C store, Jesus.
Flannel's very very hard to draw on a stick figure.
Oh, that's true. Let's see if I can go 3 for 3 for today. Red Flannel Man.
Red Flannel Man. It sounds like a Marvel character that just didn't make it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So what's his superpower? It's just like, well, he wears flannel shirts.
Yeah. He disappears at picnic parks.
Yeah, he
Picnics
steals
in a park,
cigarettes.
you know? Yeah. He's Red Flannel Man. Story number 3. Virginia man arrested for armed robbery when he planned to hold up an armored car, which he had planned for days, only to hold up a uniformed driver delivering mop heads.
So true.
It is a true story.
That's stupid enough. It had to be.
Oh, yeah.
If you want the mop so bad, take it. And of course, the laundryman, fully uniformed up. This guy in particular had waited days. He had written everything in his journal. He actually journaled, just like you, Billy.
There's a book in it.
Unfortunately, he was stupid enough to follow through on his dumb criminal antics to rob a armored car, only to pop around the corner with a sawed-off shotgun in hand to hold up a uniformed driver holding mop heads.
Oh.
Yeah, good
So
times.
there was going to be no clean getaway.
Oh.
Yeah, they never said the life of crime wasn't a dirty job. So he obviously needed the mop heads for dirtier crimes, right?
Yeah. Cleaning up the streets is no easy task.
I'm sorry. Sparky already grabbed that up. I'm like, I've already started talking.
Yeah, cleaning up the streets is no easy task, buddy. Of course, story number 4. Virginia man arrested for repeatedly laying on the horn next to a neighborhood resource center, which was hosting a community event with cops. He had drug deals on wheels with crack, heroin, and guns in the car in plain sight. Very true story.
Here comes Kevin's favorite man.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. You see, Billy, you can tell who the cops are in this one. They got the little hats on.
Yeah, that's nice.
And, yeah. You see, I swear if that guy keeps hitting the horn, I am going to service the car?
Search the car. Search the car.
Search the car. Okay. Sorry, my screen's very small there.
What is bubbling up on the back seat of that car?
That could be crystal meth.
It looks like he's got some homemade drugs in the back seat there, and then the car is going beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
Says it, yeah.
Clearly this guy was trying to sell drugs next door. He was beeping for the guy to come out, and he didn't realize that he was next to the resource center where the cops had been. So the cops came outside and said, "Oh my God, who's this guy beeping his horn? We should go check him out to see if he's okay."
That's a little strange, though. You know, like I mean, he's just beeping his horn in front of a house, and the cops
like crazy though, like crazy.
I wonder what this guy is doing.
Well, it's suspicious activity.
Beeping your horn in a car is suspicious activity?
When you're doing it repetitively.
I mean, I guess. What if your car...
I don't know how many times they did it. I wasn't there, man. I just read the story.
The ice cream bell was broken, so we couldn't call everybody that way.
Yeah, he couldn't go do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
They're going to run out of handcuffs soon if they keep arresting people that beep a horn. Like, oh, quick, we need more handcuffs. You know,
I mean, we are in Virginia. That could have been West Virginia, too. Virginia or West Virginia.
The peace at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
And of course, story number 5, Virginia man arrested for theft when he went into a Walmart dressed as a cow. He stole 26 gallons in a cart, then tried leaving without paying. True story. Welcome to activism, my friend. Activism.
Activism? Okay. No, it just sounds like he's got a weird fetish going on, where he wants to dress up like a cow and pour the milk outside.
Or it was a fraternity thing.
Could have been a fraternity prank, too, yeah. Yeah, that would have been...
Picture of the week.
Uh-oh, picture of the week. Here it comes.
This is what you do. You cross-dress, and you throw some Infamil on yourself. There you go.
Hey, stop, you cow. Moo. What an utter disaster.
And then read underneath.
To be continued.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the hashtag, Sparky. That was a good. It was very moving.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to anticipate.
Very
right
moving.
Anticipating the to be continued on that one.
But it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Gotta leave the cliffhanger.
Everybody loves my cliffhangers. It's like jumping the shark in Happy Days.
It is, yeah. Or Bullwinkle, man.
Kevin, you're gonna get angry at this first story. I hope you're ready.
Okay.
All right, story number 1. Virginia man arrested for keeping a journal of things that he stole from the neighborhood. Apparently, his ex-girlfriend gave him up to police.
Why would I get mad at that?
His ex-girlfriend gave him up to the cops.
I don't understand what's happening.
Story number 2. Virginia man arrested for arrested for poaching.
Poaching, okay.
Poaching.
That's when you're shooting deer when you're not supposed to shoot them.
Correct, or any animals in general. Virginia man arrested for poaching after posting their illegal kills on Snapchat.
Which isn't it, what's that movie? What's that movie called where you get to kill somebody, but it's only once a day? What's that? That's a horror movie.
The Purge?
The Purge.
The Purge, yeah. So the animals during hunting season, that's like their purge, but it lasts for months.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't purge, you can't hunt on non-purge days, I guess, right?
No, no non-purge days. Story number 3. This is an interesting one. I found it, I think the Sparky picture.
True false things that we're voting on?
Right at the end, yeah. Right at the end.
There are still hillbillies in Virginia. There's a Delray section of like a yuppie kind of part of Virginia. Virginia's a big mix. It's a big mix of people, which
True.
is nice.
It's a melting pot. It is a melting pot of people. Story number 3, Virginia woman arrested for stealing gravestones. Apparently, she was using them to decorate her yard and fire pit.
Oh, this has got to be true.
Yeah, I think so too.
People love stealing gravestones all the time, and especially if she's going to use it for a fire pit. She probably got caught by posting it on Instagram. I guarantee
That's a special kind of scumbag right there. Special kind of scumbag.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in the afterlife that much, so they're probably not going to miss their gravestones. It's not like, God woke them up one day and said, hey, you look down there, somebody's stealing your gravestones. Don't worry, they're going to jail. I don't know. No.
Story number 4, Virginia woman arrested for robbing a one-stop center while naked. Police suspect that drugs were involved.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I'm totally going true on that one. If you're naked, police suspecting drugs involved, what else do we need?
Not much.
Nobody, they wouldn't, she must have not been a looker, because I guarantee if you're a good-looking woman, they say, oh, you need mental health. But if you're a bad-looking woman doing that, they're like, you're going to jail. You're
for a long time.
Your cousin, because kids are going to have nightmares now. So, they're not going to say in the paper what she looked like, Tony, but that's all right.
That's true. Story number 5, Virginia man arrested for robbing a liquor store in a motorized wheelchair. Apparently, his chair was towed away when he was arrested.
They had to call it a tow?
For the motorized wheelchair.
True. I hope that tow truck driver gets hit at the end, you know that? Because that sounds like what a tow truck driver would do, They'd be like, the cops would arrest a kid, and they're like, you got to call the tow truck to, get his bicycle away. It's like, you can't just put it in your car? No, we need to call a tow guy in there. He's my brother-in-law. He needs to work.
Sparky, where are we going, brother?
Oh, they're all true. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. Billy, where are we, what are you thinking?
I think I've learned my lesson. They're all true.
Okay. All right. Kevin.
Yeah, man. Virginia sounds like a terrible little place. On the police blotter, so.
Oh, Virginia is a horrible place.
What's the range on this? Woman's on drugs. She's showing up naked. She's probably not the best looker. Then you got the friggin' poor guy's wheelchair, motorized chair going. His hover-round gets stolen. You can go anywhere in your hover-round. You can especially pick it up from the tow yard. What is the tow truck driver going to do if this guy never picks it up? Is he going to hawk it? Is he going to go to the pawn shop with the damn thing? Be like, hey, I got this off some guy who had trouble walking.
We'll find out in just a second. We'll start out with story.
Really have faith in Virginia right now.
I don't have faith in Virginia either. We'll start out with story number 1. Virginia man arrested for keeping a journal of things, in particular that he stole from the neighborhood. He was arrested when his ex-girlfriend gave him up to police. True story.
That makes sense.
Why did she...
Here you go, officer. He did not want to share with me. Oh. Yeah. No, I just thought it was funny that his ex-girlfriend gave him up. I thought it was a funny moment.
All right.
She got mad at him, and she was like, "Oh, I'll show you, you son of a bitch." And, she went straight to the cops.
Alcohol's a hell of a drug. They don't call it a drug, but alcohol's a hell of a drug.
That's true. That's true. Story number 2, Virginia man arrested for poaching after posting their illegal pics on Snapchat.
That seems like it definitely happens, right?
Yeah.
It happens all the time in Virginia.
Like grocery stores don't exist.
Here comes the headline.
Oh boy, Sparky.
I do not know what I am shooting at. Go up a little bit. Bang.
He killed somebody.
Oh, it's Cow Guy. Oh, no. That was an utter mistake.
Continuation of the cow story.
Poor Cow Guy. He got put on Snapchat. That is a true story.
Tony, the cow guy wouldn't have gotten shot if he just moved.
Oh.
More terrible punchlines.
That's such a bullish statement. He was horny, okay?
Whoa! Because the other things with Anthony.
Story number 3. Virginia woman arrested for stealing gravestones. She used them to decorate her yard and fire pit.
It has to be true.
That is a true story. She has a special place in hell.
A few more and I can do the front yard.
You forgot her grilling steaks on top of them, Spark.
Oh, that's horrible.
She is a special person. She will save her place with Beelzebub. Story number 4, Virginia woman arrested for robbing a one-stop center while naked. Police suspect drugs were involved is a true story.
Yeah.
Were drugs involved, Tony?
Of course they were.
I didn't suspect women to ever do drugs. But in Virginia, they seem to.
Yeah, you're the good old...
I should go to jail.
Good old drug of choice, Kevin. What are you thinking? Kevin, drug of choice?
Billy, you're reading the exact dialogue of what happened, the play-by-play there. And she said that she should go to jail. She's got the barrel around her, so you know that she's naked. She's cartoon naked.
Kevin, what are you thinking? Drug of choice, sir. Drug of choice?
Oh man.
Go with the fan favorite.
I'm going with crystal meth on this one.
There it is. Good old crystal meth. She rears her ugly head again.
Normally when the ingredients in something is battery acid, it's not a good idea to be smoking it. Just throwing it out there.
Fortunately,
I don't want to be a hypocrite and drink a beer, smoke a cigarette, and talk about how the kids are poisoning themselves with Tide Pods because, well, what am I doing, right?
No one knows. Story number 5, Virginia man arrested for robbing a liquor store in a motorized wheelchair. Apparently, his chair was towed away while he was arrested. True story.
Man, you gotta have...
There's a special place for me for drawing this story and what I said about it.
Okay.
There's the top of it.
Go higher. If you were going to drink all of these, don't drive.
Go up a little bit, Spark. Go ahead.
Nope. Look at that. The guy in the motorized chair is right there.
Lieutenant Dan doesn't need magic legs.
Why did you make him look like a Hitler in a wheelchair?
Yeah, that was weird, Spark. Clearly, when you are an overweight individual.
On that one, man. What are you doing? How do you feel good when how do you sleep at night when you're hooking up somebody's hover round up to your damn tow truck and saying, "All right, we're making the world better right now."
It wasn't getting paid, Hey,
it was parked in a no parking zone, Kevin. Parked in a no parking zone.
Oh, okay, all right.
And apparently, when you're going inside and you're overweight, you're taking your time to get to the register. Therefore, you're leaving your car outside, which is your lovely motorized buggy. And when it is in a no parking zone, guess what Virginia police do?
Tow it.
They tend to tow it.
Okay, I don't know. I think
Who was outside waiting for said overweight person to come outside after they robbed the store?
Oh, man, they know what that is. They're just forcing them to exercise then. They're like, well, looks like you're going to have to walk and pick it up there, buddy. Maybe they cared about him. You never know. I don't know the backstory.
Never
I'd like to know that there was I'd like to know that there was a little bit more to the story than just some terrible tow truck driver, very vindictive and hard up for his $100.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's lovely when you're holding up the liquor store to try to rob them. Yeah. Yeah. But that is the end of Virginia for us today. Of course, our very special guest star, Billy Van Zandt. Thank you very much for being on our show. We appreciate you sticking along as well.
Where's Washington?
Oh, we got Washington next week. Washington.
Oh, very good. The state or D.C.?
We are going the state first, and then we'll go D.C. the second week, I believe.
Ah, very nice.
You can just blend them, Tony. Go Washington, then /D.C. Yeah.
Maybe.
Depends how much crime is going on in Grungeville, Washington State, right? I mean,
there you go.
We'll see.
There's probably a spotted owl trying to, start a forest fire or something. I don't know.
Never know.
Watch out for those.
Billy, would you like to plug anything, sir?
Oh.
Would you? Do you have anything in the works? You got stuff going on?
Read my book.
Read the book. Look for it on Google.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or our website. And when the world comes back to whatever it's coming back to, I'll be out on the road doing the Boomer Boys musical at a theater somewhere near you.
Oh, I can't wait. I'll actually, I would love to buy tickets for that. That'd be exciting.
Thanks. This is fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Sparky, where can you find us if you were looking for us, sir?
You can find us on every single major streaming platform. I mean, since I don't like to say them all, I just write them all down.
Going from Facebook all the way through Google Podcast and everything in between. You can find us there. I am Tony Kaz, followed by
Kevin Neary here.
And, of course, the ever-loving Picasso.
Sparky.
Guys, you have a great night. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Thanks, guys.